For 10.1 task 2, we're going to continue working on those independent and dependent variables. So remember, the independent one is hooked to the coefficient, has that coefficient, and the second one depends on the first one. So that answer, the one that's alone, kind of depends on the first one there. So we have this problem here. Pablo walks dogs after school. His earnings, E, in dollars, are represented by the equation E equals 24 H's, where H is the number of hours he works. So he gets to pick how many hours he works. If he is really busy one week, maybe he's going to work only 1 hour. But if he has a lot more free time, maybe he's going to go work 12 hours that week, right? He gets to determine his hours. So this first one here is going to be our independent variable. This one is the one he gets to decide. And how much money he makes is going to depend on how many hours he chose to work. So we won't know this one until we know how many hours he worked. So if he chose to work 3 hours, he'll make $72. So we need to know how much he's going to make in 1 hour. So out to the side, somewhere on your paper, we have hours and we have his earnings. So if he works 3 hours, he made $72. We want to know how much he makes in 1 hour. So how do I get from 3 to 1? I divide by 3. So I need to do 72 divided by 3 to go right here. So I want you to do that math, 72 divided by 3, put your answer here. So now that we know how much he works in how much he makes in 1 hour, we're going to use this number to fill in the 2 and the 4. So how do I get from 1 to 2? We times that by 2. So whatever this number is here, we're going to also double that and times it by 2 to see how much he'll make in 2 hours. And then we'll do the same thing here. How do I get from 1 to 4? Well, we times that by 4. So we come back to our 1, whatever that number is there that he earns in 1 hour. When I times that by 4, we'll know how much he makes in 4 hours. So go ahead and complete that chart. So we started with what we know, and we always want to get to that 1, because once we know 1, we can find anything else. So go ahead and finish that math there, and then come back for problem B. So determine the values to the table. We multiplied each value of the independent variable. The independent one was H. He got to choose the hours he worked, right? He is independent. He can make his own choices. He chose to work the hours. Then what did we do? We multiplied, once we know the 1, we multiply by timesing to find each corresponding value of the dependent variable. Which one depends on the other one? How much money he makes, how much money he earns, depends on how many hours he chose to work. So the first one in the chart is independent. And in the equation, it's the one that has the coefficient. It depends on it, or has the problem with it. This is independent. He gets to choose this, but this will depend on how many hours he chose to work. The second one is independent, or dependent. It's all alone, which is kind of weird in the equation, but this depends on this. We can't know this answer until we know what H is.